security and privacy issues in the cloud computing. Okay, so just a quick recall or a quick recap on those topics. Okay, and after that we will move forward. Okay, so the first topic that I had discussed on the last one was cloud confidentiality, or even you can say it as data confidentiality and computational integrity. So I'm going to start my presentation. Guys, I hope I am audible to everyone. There is no issue with connection or anything like that.
No, sir, it's all good. Audio and
Okay.
video both are working fine.
Okay, so on the last one, the first topic that I have discussed was cloud confidentiality. And in that cloud confidentiality, first I had discussed the vulnerability. So mainly the vulnerability arises because the same hardware is shared between the multiple clients. Means the reason for the confidentiality issue is multi-tenancy. You can say due to the multi-tenancy, the kind of vulnerability that is known that is arises due to VM co-residency, means multiple clients are executing or using the same kind of hardware resources. That is why this vulnerability arises. So the vulnerability was so the first vulnerability was VM co-residency, and in that VM co-residency, we had seen multiple threats, which include cross-channel VM attack, then malicious system admin, and after that we had also discussed the multiple kind of defense strategy, which includes placement prevention, so that multiple VMs when launched simultaneously, they launch on isolated physical machines, or physical machines those are distant apart, so that such kind of VM attacks, cross channel VM attacks, are not possible. Then other defense strategies that we had seen, that no hypervisor. Okay, then we had also seen on which way we will get to detect the co-residency detection using the tools like Home Alone. Okay, when there is an SLA agreement that two VMs from two different clients will be executed on two isolated servers. Then there are trusted cloud computing platforms that we had seen and discussed. Then also the malicious system activity of malicious system admin. That all we had uh, discussed on in the cloud confidentiality. Then we have moved towards the cloud integrity, and in the cloud integrity, then in the cloud integrity, Then in the cloud integrity, we had seen that since we are outsourcing the data and application over the cloud server, means there may be an issue of loss, data loss, manipulation, or computation, or the result produced by the cloud may be incorrect. Okay, so there is a chance of data manipulation, loss, or dishonest computation over the cloud server. So to resolve these issues, we had seen multiple methods, which includes probable data proof, that PDP model, and then multiple versions of PDP model. Okay, that is a scalable PDP model, dynamic PDP models, then proof of retrievability, uh, that is known as POR. Then trust. Then there is a TPA, means third party auditor is there. Then recomputation, replication, auditing, and trusted computing. So we had seen all these techniques through which we can, there is a threat, and after that there is a different mechanism to resolve such kind of issue if arises in the cloud environment. Okay. Further, we had discussed about the cloud availability. So in the cloud availability, in the cloud availability, we had seen the vulnerabilities like bandwidth under provisioning and cloud pricing model. So such kind of vulnerabilities arise due to the flooding attack via bandwidth starvation. In the flooding attack via bandwidth starvation, we had seen two types of attack possible, that is directed DOS and indirected DOS. In directed DOS, then we had seen that a targeted service is fully unavailable. However, indirected DOS might be make unavailable to the entire zone. So such kind of attack we had seen. Then we had seen the defense strategy, in which we had seen how we can defend a DOS attack. Then to encounter the vulnerability of cloud pricing model, we had seen how an FRC attack could be possible. So in the FRC attack, what happens? A malicious client continuously using the cloud service, and the cloud service is not able to detect whether it's the legitimate client, whether this particular client is a legitimate client or a malicious user, and he used the and he consumed the resources. Since the bonding is something like that, so this is the cloud service provider, then there is a cloud user, and there are multiple clients, and there are multiple clients. So this particular client is a malicious user, so he is consuming the service of this particular client, and this particular cloud service provider is charging the cloud user. Okay, and this particular cloud user is knowing that this is a legitimate client. Okay, however, their clients are not using the service, is still this particular cloud user is paying for that service. Okay, so such kind of attack possible over the long period of time. Such attacks all happen whenever happen. It happens for entire week or entire month, and it cause economically to the cloud user. Okay, so and then we had seen the detection strategy, how we can detect if such kind of attack happens. Okay, so these all things we had discussed on the last time. Okay, I hope many of the things you have find out interesting, and maybe you will work out in your either in your research work or in your project whenever you are writing new articles. Okay, so let's move forward uh, towards today's presentation that I am going to discuss about the cloud accountability. So in the cloud accountability, what happens, like Till now, all the three techniques, all the three security issues that we had discussed, that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So when these kind of things happen, a service may hinder, means a user is not able to use the service. Means in confidentiality, the data is uh, shared, or some unauthorized user is seeing the data. Okay. And in integrity, the data is manipulated or lost. And the computation performed over the cloud, okay, may be producing wrong result, or the computation which is happen over the cloud is consuming a lot of resources. Okay. Number three, another thing is possible. A computation is performed over the cloud, but that computation is performed lazy, means that should be performed in 1 hour, means you have committed to your client that I will produce the result in 30 minutes or 1 hour, but you are not able to meet the deadline. You are producing a result after 3 hours or after one day. So if your commitment is to provide a result within an hour and you are not able to do so, so that is the violation of service level agreement. So that all things we try to cover in the account in the cloud accountability. Means if an incident happen in the cloud environment between a cloud service provider and the cloud user and all the third party client who is directly or indirectly using the cloud service. Okay. So if some incidents happen in the cloud environment, so who is accountable for that? How you will account, how you will enforce the accountability in the cloud environment? Okay, so guys, just switch off your mic.
Sir Veerashankar Babu.
Guys, just switch off your mic. Okay, that will create disturbance for everyone. Okay, guys. So in this presentation, first we see about the definition of the cloud accountability. Okay, so that is the standard definition that is covered in multiple literatures. And then we see the threat model of cloud accountability. In that, we will cover about the SLA violation, dishonest mapreduce, hidden identity of adversaries, inaccurate billing of resource consumption. Okay. Then these threats happen, means a incidents arises, a incidents happen. That incidents could be anything, means it could be a cloud due to a confidentiality issue, a integrity issue, a availability issue. Okay. Means the incidents happen. When the incidents happen, so that accountability should be imposed, means for like this happen due to the cloud service provider, happen due to the cloud service provider or the cloud user or the third party user. So who is accountable for this loss? Okay, so that the responsibility will be imposed on a particular service provider, user, or third party, then your work will be complete. Then also we will see the defense strategy through which we will identify or encounter a particular responsible entity. For that purpose, the accountability of service layer level agreement, accountable virtual machine, collaborative monitoring, accountability, service provenance, and verifiable resource computing. We see them one by one. Clear to everyone?
Sir, do you find a background noise at your end, or is it only for me?
Yeah, sometime I am finding it. I had interrupted and asked the student, so please switch off your mic. I had requested to them.
I have muted everyone, but I'm not sure from whose end it is. Okay, I will continue to mute. Okay, sir, please continue.
So, guys, accountability implies that a capability of identifying a party with undeniable evidence is responsible for a specific events. Means if some incidents happen in the cloud environment, so that a cloud service provider or user or an auditor who is performing an audit, he or she should have enough evidence to prove that this incident is happen due to cloud service provider, due to cloud service user, due to third party, or an attack happen due to an adversary. Okay, so whenever you are dealing with cloud computing, there are multiple parties that are involved. A cloud service provider, and there is a client, and a client could be directly connected to the cloud, and also it could be a public client who is using the web applications or mobile applications. Okay, then so so who is responsible for the breach? The cloud service provider, the client, or a third party user? So for that purpose, a fine grade identity must be employed to identify a specific machine, a service provider, client, or a third party user, or even a malicious program that is responsible for this incidents. Okay, so let's see what kind of threats that is possible, and due to those threats are possible if an attack, if such kind of issue, privacy issue arises in the cloud environment. So the first thing, that is SLA violation. So the SLA violation was you can say first addressed in an article which was published by Hyber Berlin. Okay, so he has discussed that the machines in the cloud can be misconfigured or defective and can consequently corrupt the customer's data or cause his computation to return incorrect results. So the point is that, like, whenever you are writing a program, whenever you are writing a program and using a compiler, you compile it and then try to get the result. So it ever happened, you have written a correct logic syntactically and semantically, then you are executing a program on your system, and still that system is giving you incorrect result. Is it happen to you ever? Such kind of things has happened with you? I hope it never happened on a local system. If you are writing a correct program semantically and syntactically, you will definitely get correct result. You will definitely get correct result. However, with the experimental proof, it has been seen that it is possible to corrupt or misconfigure the virtual machines or the machine which is executing in the cloud premises. Okay, so if that happens, so what such consequences of such thing will be? The consequence will be it will corrupt the customer's data, it will corrupt the customer's data, and it may return incorrect result of computation. it may produce incorrect result that you have outsourced in the cloud environment. Okay. Further, the cloud provider can accidentally allocate insufficient resources for the consumer and act which can degrade the performance of consumer service, and that is the violation of SLA. So what this means if you are taking a service from a cloud service provider, so why a cloud service provider not only accidentally, sometime it is desirably reducing the resources which is allocated to a client. Why this happens? The reason being, a cloud service provider want to want to maximize its profit. A cloud service provider, so the entire cloud environment is a economy of scale. Means if a number of user base is large, definitely the cloud service provider will gain more. Okay, so if there are multiple clients, so this is the cloud service provider, and there are multiple clients which is starting from CN, C2, and get up to CN. Okay, and are executing all of them are executing on some physical machine where multiple VMs are launched. Multiple VMs are launched. And since these clients are also prioritized, means there is some retail client and there is some institutional client. Means a client like individual users who are using the services of the cloud service provider. So a retail client maybe launch few VMs, 1, 2, 3, 4 VMs. However, an institutional client maybe launch hundreds or thousands of virtual machines. So definitely the priority of a institutional client is more than a retail client. So at that time, if a retail client have initiated or launched a VM and placed its application to be execute on this virtual machine, and he have allocated some physical machine for the execution of this VM. Okay, so that is the SLA that a cloud will promise with you to provide a particular amount of quality of service. But since maybe the resources are not available on that particular physical machine, and the cloud service provider do not want to lose its large client, what he will do? He will just remove the allocation of this virtual machine to this virtual machine, and at that time the quality of service that is promised in the SLA agreement with the client will be violated. Okay, so such kind of incidents happen in the cloud service environment. Next that
Sir, can you read the chat message, sir, please?
sorry, can you repeat it again? I'm not here.
Sir,
Hello.
sir, I posted a question on chat message. Can you just spend 1 minute on that, responding that?
Definitely, I will respond to that. Let me finish the presentation. Okay. So I have given 15 minutes for Q&A in the each session. So at that time, I will respond to that. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I request all the participants, if you have any queries, please type it in the chat window. Please do not ask the questions on mic as it disrupts the session for everybody. So we can continue, sir.
Yeah, sure. So an attacker is inducing an attack, or you can inducing a bug or a malware into the system. So we have seen such incidents in the previous examples when we have discussed on the last week, that even it is reported in the CERT database. So just search these terms, that CERT database. Okay, so that is the emergency response team. So if certain kind of incidents happen, that is reported in this database. Okay. So if an attacker has induced a bug, or a in malware in the cloud environment, so the logic or the software that is executing on a particular virtual machine, okay, so it is try to steal, or the particular attack is able to steal a valuable data, okay, and it will also take over the machine to perform a directed DOS, because it have identified a targeted physical machine, and in that case, that is the intention of adversary or a malware to identify a particular machine so that it can launch a directed DOS attack, denial of service attack. Okay, so such kind of thing happen, and if this happen, that is the violation of SLA, because it is not possible at the cloud service provider ends to retain the quality of service as it is agreed in the SLA agreement. So the full form of SLA, I hope everybody knows since I have discussed many times, that is the service level agreement. And the next point is, the customer may not have access to his data either because the cloud loses it, or simply the data is unavailable when it is needed. Okay, so such kind of thing also happen, as we had seen in the availability. Okay, so it may possible a cloud outage happen because any particular cloud service provider, any reputed one, whether it's a Google cloud or Amazon cloud or a Microsoft Azure, they all promise you to provide their availability to 99.99. Okay, provide you availability to 99.99, and some of them even provide you an availability to up to 6 digits. Okay, so this matter up to 2 digit and up to 6 digit and up to 8 digit, it matter, they are not 100%. So if you convert them and try to find out that how much time a outage may happen over the period of 24 cross 7 cross 365 days, okay, so you will able to know that these kind of outage may happen over the hours. Okay, means if a cloud outage happen, it could be possible for even for hours. So if for hour a cloud outage happen, so hundreds or thousands or millions of application which are executing on their machine, they become unavailable. And the data the data which is stored on their server, which become also unavailable. Okay, so such kind of thing happen. So if this happen, who is responsible for that? So that we will study and try to find out whenever we will discuss the defense strategy for such kind of attacks. Okay, so the point is, if something goes wrong, means a data leak or a data loss happen, and that particular data has been stealed and sold to its competitor. Okay, or the computation which is performed over the cloud service provider is producing incorrect result. Okay, so it can be difficult for a customer and even for the cloud service provider to determine that which of them has caused this problem. And without a solid evidence, it is nearly possible for each of one to responsible hold each other responsible. So that is why tracing and trailing is required to make the logs properly for each and every entity involved in the cloud environment, so that if ever such kind of events arises, a responsible person could be held and accountability could be fixed, so that these kind of things not arise in the future. Okay. So the next threat that is arise is dishonest map reduce. So maybe it is a dishonest map reduce, but you can say it's a dishonest virtual machine. Okay. So as you know that map reduce is a parallel computing paradigm that is widely employed, which is widely employed or used by the major cloud service provider, whether it's Amazon, Google, Facebook, or anything, Azure. So what MapReduce do? In the MapReduce, it splits a large data set. It splits a large data set into multiple blocks, into multiple blocks, and each of which are subsequently become input to the workers of the machine for processing the data. Okay. However, if a machine, as we have discussed previously, if the machine, since that is possible, machine is misconfigured or malicious, so the result produced or the processing happen over the machine is will produce an incorrect result, will produce an incorrect result. Okay. And it is difficult for the customer to verify the correctness of the result, because a map reduce is most of the time consume or process a large amount of data. So such kind of computation is not possible locally. That is why you have outsourced to the cloud computing. So if that computation is producing wrong result, so definitely it is not possible for a client to check whether the produced result is correct or incorrect. Okay. So again, we are saying that if a result is incorrect, so that is an integrity issue. If a map reduce is producing an incorrect result, so that kind of thing is a computational integrity problem, is a computational integrity issue. How it could be accountability issue? Okay, so since this is a computational integrity issue, and when you try to resolve this issue, what you will do? You will try to implement a method which will verify the result in a lesser amount of time, or in a lesser complexity, in the lesser complexity that the computation itself taking. So through these techniques, you will resolve the issue of integrity. And once the integrity issue is resolved, the another thing that why this particular incidents happen. So at that time, you will fix the responsibility over the cloud service provider or the customer to necessarily identify the faulty machine. to identify the faulty machine and or any other reason that causes the wrong result, or any other reason that causes the wrong result. The next threat that is possible, it is possible due to the registration issue, due to the registration issue of the cloud service provider. As you had seen, since all of you have registered to the AWS cloud computing, that the registration process is very lenient, so that most number of client or the customer could be on board to the cloud service provider's platform. Okay, and due to the privacy concerns, due to the privacy concerns, cloud service provider not disclose the cloud customer's identity information. Okay, not disclose the cloud customer's identity information. So that means anonymous access is employed to deal with this issue. Okay, and anonymity increased the privacy, but it also induced a security problem. That is, full anonymity requires that a customer's information must be completely hidden or absolutely hidden from everyone or in the cloud environment. And in that case, if some malicious user register itself anonymously, it can jeopardize the data integrity without being detected. Okay, so that kind of issue may be arise due to the hidden identity. Then there is another threat. The another threat is inaccurate billing of resource consumption. As one we have already seen, whenever a FRC attack happen, whenever an FRC attack happen, so whenever a FRC attack happen, even if the users, the legitimate users are not consuming the resource, still the cloud user is billed for the resource. Still the cloud user is billed for the resource. So let's see it. This threat is, that is, as you already know, that the pay as per you go model enables the customers to decide how to outsource their business based on their necessities as well as their financial situation. Means a customer demand a demand a cloud resource, a customer demand a cloud resource based on its requirement and also based on its operational cost, based on its operational cost. Okay, so the point is, it is quite difficult for a customer to verify the expense of the resource consumption, because from a customer's end, like when you people have registered in the AWS and then you have launched a virtual machine, and we have seen on the last one we had launched a virtual machine. Okay, although it has clearly written that particular virtual machine is free. Okay, and if you are using some high-end virtual machine apart from the free uses, okay, so there are virtual machine and it has written that they will charge this amount of dollar or this amount of cents for per hour basis or for per minute basis. Okay, so that is okay, and you have started your execution. So you had started use execution of some of your process, but it is very likely that you are using the 100% of that virtual machine, that you are using the 100%. Let's say for 1 hour you are charged for $1. For 1 hour usage of a virtual machine, you have charged for $1. Okay, but you are not using the 100% capability or capacity of the virtual machine. You are just using 10 to 20% of this virtual machine, and remaining are free. Even you are just using 10 to 20%, still you are charging for the entire consumption of the resource. And that is why many times it is say that the operations happen inside the cloud is happen in a non-transparent manner or happen in the black box. And also due to the dynamic nature of the cloud computing, since it is allocating the resource dynamically to the a number of cloud service providers, it's become very difficult for a client to understand or to get a log of its resource consumption. Further, the further the cloud providers choose to share the resource to keep its utilization high, and also the resource sharing may cause the client to incorrectly attribute the resource consumption to the providers. The reason being, since the same resource since the same resource is since the same resource is consumed by many clients, same cloud resource is consumed by many clients starting from CN to CN. Okay, so since the physical machine is the same machine where all these virtual machines are executing simultaneously. Okay, so it become very cumbersome to perform a clear-cut accounting services to identify that which client is consuming what amount of service for a time period of T1 to T2. Means if you are performing an audit to get to know like what is the amount of resource a particular client is consuming for a time stamp T1 to T2, that is a challenge. That is a challenge that even the client C was active, but many time it is not consuming a resource. It is not consuming on the resource, and since that is a single resource and that exclusively shared between these all clients. Okay, so how you make the accountability, how you make the accounting possible? Okay, so even for example, input output time and internal network bandwidth are not metered. Means for example, maybe you don't know such things, that whenever we had launched a virtual machine, after launching that virtual machine, what I had done, I had updated that machine. I had updated that machines with latest software so that it will install the latest version of Python and latest version of Java and other compilers. So at that time, I had given the command to the virtual machine, and that command happened executed on that virtual machine. So it is now downloading the latest version of Python and Java from the server. and using the network capacity and the capability of AWS cloud computing. That is not using the internet of my system. That particular service is using the network of cloud service provider. So that kind of services are not metered, but still they are incurring such cost. They are incurring such cost. Okay. So whenever there is sharing of resources, it is very difficult to perform to perform accurate billing or accurate accounting of resources. Okay. So I hope you are able to understand the threat modeling. You are able to understand the threats of cloud accountability. So now if you have any question, you can ask me. So that is all for this session. We will again meet after an hour. If you have any question, you can ask me. I am going to the comments. Yeah, guys, any question you want to ask?
Sir, I put it in my chat.
Yes, sir. There is one question in the chat window shared by Shri.
Okay, so this one on security.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have shared it again.
No, there is no need to provide security at your end. Okay, there is no need to provide security at your end, and also it is not possible that you are able to provide security. Okay, because anyway it is at the hand of cloud service provider to provide the security to your data and to your computational resource. Okay, and what you have to do as a client, you have to blindly trust the provider's mechanism and configuration. You cannot do anything, neither you can perform a change over it. And also, since that is a trade secret, that is also a trade secret, even they will not reveal those secrets in the SLA agreement. So that is possible. Okay, even those kind of strict security mechanisms are there, still if a data leakage or industrial espionage or corporate espionage happen due to a malicious insider or due to an adversary, so whom is responsible for that? And that is why the accountability is required. Any other question, guys?
So I think there's one more question on CSP. It is in the chat window.
Okay, the last one.
Yeah.
No, about that SLA violation also I have asked, sir. Please.
SLA violation, like you make an agreement. There is an agreement between a cloud service provider and the client. Okay, and the agreement is more about the providing them a quality of service, more about providing them a user a quality of service. And since you have agreed for providing a quality of service, let's say, okay, but since a incident happened, you have committed to the user that you will provide the confidentiality to its data and integrity to its data, okay, up to the 100% or up to the 99.9999%, but still a violation happen and data is manipulated or maybe become unavailable due to the cloud loss, due to the cloud outage. Okay, so let's say I am just discussing an incident. Okay, the incidents happen due to uh, due to a cyclone. What happens in the AWS data centers, which is on the coast of US, okay, maybe somewhere in New York or maybe some other coastal cities. I not correctly recall the name of that city. Okay, so that incidents happen, and the data center is in that particular city. Okay, a cyclone happened, and due to that cyclone, that entire data center is flooded. Okay, and due to that flooding, a cloud outage happened. Okay, so such kind of things happen. Although they have agreed for, they had agreed for to provide confidentiality and integrity up to 100%, and even the availability up to 100%, but still it is not able to do. So at that time, the accountability must be fixed. That it happens because of the cloud service provider. It had not provided the proper replicated services, so that it has not replicated its data at multiple zones at multiple locations, and that is why when this outage happen, it is not able to provide an uninterrupted service to the cloud users. Okay, I hope you get the answer. Yeah, we will the in the last question, that how it is possible to identify the accountability, that we will discuss in the defense strategy. I had till now discussed the threat model. I had not discussed the defense strategy. So when we appear after 1 hour, I will discuss the defense strategy, where I will give you answer that how we can identify if such kind of incidents happen in the cloud environment, how we can uniquely identify and set the responsibilities that due to the cloud service provider, due to the client, or due to the adversary, this incidents happen, and let's try to fix it so that it will never be again possible in the future. Okay, guys. So thanks for joining. That's all from my side for this session. We will again meet after an hour. Then we will discuss the defense strategies to encounter such kind of incidents in the cloud accountability.
Thank you, sir. So we again meet at 12, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the participants. We'll start again at 12.